Today's episode is brought to you by Brilliant. More on them in a bit. As much as we'd like to believe there's order to the world around us, unexplained phenomena happen every day. Oddities so rare, the scientists haven't been able to properly study them, or mysteries so old that we've allowed folklore to overtake reason. So, from earthquakes in the sky to jelly from falling stars, here are 5 weird things happening in the wilderness right now, because when it comes to nature, fact is always stranger than fiction. In November of 2017, people living across 15 countries in Alabama reported hearing an explosion so loud that it shook homes and set off car alarms. The boom originated just north of Birmingham at 1:45 p.m. CST. Despite the noise and hundreds of thousands of witnesses, there was no evidence as to what the sound was or where it came from. The Bama boom, as it was nicknamed, got the attention of Bill Cook, a scientist at NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office, who couldn't explain the source. Cook stated, quote, "If it was an explosion, calculations indicate a force of less than 10 tons of TNT. If it was a meteor, it weighed about 400 pounds and was about 2 feet across." But there was no evidence of a meteor or data showing one was close by. There wasn't anything seen or reported in the area loud enough to explain the explosive sound in the air. It's become a recent example of a skyquake, the term used for mysterious booms purportedly originating from the upper atmosphere that have been baffling scientists for centuries. Since the 1700s, people have reported experiencing the shock of hearing a loud sound in the sky on an otherwise calm and sunny day. The noise has been compared to thunderclaps or cannon fire with no visible source, leaving the witnesses scared and confused. So are you always on the hunt for new ways to improve your skills, stand out in your career, or maybe just become an all-round better version of yourself? I am a huge believer in personal growth and development, and I think if you are too, you're going to love today's sponsor, which is Brilliant.org. It's an interactive online learning platform that offers courses in everything from foundational maths to advanced computer science, artificial intelligence, and data science. Plus, they're always adding new lessons every month, and with thousands of lessons available, there really is something for everyone. So what makes Brilliant different from other online learning platforms? Well, for me, is that it's interactive. The courses are designed to keep you engaged and help you learn by doing, which is just a more effective way to learn, no doubt about it. And the best part is that the skills you learn on Brilliant can be applied in so many areas of your life, whether you're a tech professional or just someone who wants to keep learning and growing. Maybe you're interested in learning about artificial intelligence. Now it's shaping the future of technology. Well, Brilliant has a course called Introduction to Artificial Neural Networks that teaches you the fundamentals of neural networks, from how they work to how they're trained. With interactive quizzes and visualizations, you'll be able to see the concepts in action and deepen your understanding of this exciting field. So, whether you want to learn more about AI, data science, or just brush up on your math skills, Brilliant has something for you. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, go to brilliant.org/sideprojects or click the link in the description below. And the first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's premium annual subscription. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below, 30-day free trial, and now back to today's video. The audio phenomena usually happens close to large bodies of water and has been known by many names in many cultures. In France, they're called bombe de mar, in the Philippines, ratambos, and in Japan, uminari. They've even been the subject of novellas like James Fenimore Cooper's The Lake Gun, which was based on Native American folklore about the source of skyquakes. This is how The Lost and the Mohicans author described the sounds heard near Seneca Lake in upstate New York in 1850. To quote, "It is a sound resembling the explosion of a heavy piece of artillery that can be accounted for by none of the known laws of nature. The report is deep, hollow, distant, and imposing. The lake seems to be speaking to the surrounding hills, which send back the echoes of its voice in accurate reply." While there is no consensus in the scientific community, the prevailing theories are that these sounds are not coming from the sky at all and have more to do with the large bodies of water they're heard by, possibly caused by gas being forcibly vented from below Great Lakes or oceans, or collapsing of underwater caves. Another theory is that skyquakes are heard when witnesses are standing in the epicenter of a massive, albeit shallow, earthquake, which somehow generates explosive sound waves, but not the telltale ground vibrations. These days, if you hear what sounds like a blast of artillery fire, it probably is. The modern world has plenty of disturbances that could explain a skyquake, from missile tests to sonic jets, but there are still cases happening without a cause and plenty of reports that predate modern warfare and aircraft. So, until scientists manage to be at the right place at the right time, skyquakes remain unsolved. Explorers have been hearing strange music in the desert for centuries. Low, droning notes rising and falling off the dunes like the soundtrack of a horror movie. The tones can carry on for minutes and can be heard as far away as 9 kilometers or 6 miles. They are always in the lower registers of E, F, and G, sounding like the lower notes of a distorted cello. Marco Polo, back in the 13th century, had this to say about the music, which he assumed was demonic and rising from hell. At times, fill the air with the sounds of all kinds of musical instruments and also of drums and the clash of arms. This surreal experience is known as singing sands, and it is partially decoded thanks to research. We now know that the bellowing is coming from loose sand cascading down dunes that are at least 30 meters or 100 feet tall with a 35-degree slope. It also has to be extremely hot, so even in the most arid locations, the music only happens when temperatures are above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. When wind hits those dunes, the top layer of dry, loose sand starts to slide, causing the tones. However, the exact mechanism that makes them is still unclear. The most popular theory purports that, much like a musician pulling his bow across the strings of a violin, the top layer of dry sand makes music from the friction caused by sliding down the wetter, more compact layers of sand below it. The wide open space that is the desert is free of echo, and so the tones carry. In a windstorm, you could be surrounded by this music, practically swallowing your senses whole. Bruno Andreotti from the University of Paris has been studying the music coming out of the dunes in Morocco, one of 35 places on Earth where the singing sands have been heard. He has this to say about his work. Singing dunes constitute one of the most puzzling and impressive natural phenomena I've ever encountered. Scientists have even managed to recreate the singing in the lab by vibrating various sand grains in controlled environments, and while they have managed to recreate the sounds, they cannot explain what causes it to happen in those specific tones, or why do the notes naturally harmonize when different particles vibrate together, meaning we can observe how the sound occurs, but the fact that it is always music and not noise remains a beautiful mystery. Trees want to grow towards the sun. It's a scientific principle known as phototropism, which states most plants grow towards light. However, some forests in Europe host groves of trees bent on bucking that trend. The dancing forest near Kaliningrad in Russia is one such example, or as the locals call it, the drunken forest, since the trunks of all the trees are mysteriously twisted and contorted for inexplicable reasons. Residents say if you walk in the path of the curves of the trunks, you add a year to your life. Another local legend claims that the Christian god made the trees dance in order to prove his power. Some more scientifically minded folks believe that the trees were infected with a beetle that warped the growth patterns. Others think the trees were purposefully manipulated, a practice known as tree shaping, where people purposefully distort young trees to grow into specific shapes and directions to become everything from furniture to works of art. Bonsai, for example, is a popular form of tree shaping. But the dancing forest doesn't have any rhyme or reason to the maddening twirls. It's unknown to this day why these specific trees were forced by man or nature to grow in such a distorted way. In the northwest of Poland, there's another similar oddity known as the Crooked Forest. It's a grove of roughly 400 pine trees, all of them intentionally planted in the 1930s. But the fact that they were purposefully planted there doesn't explain why every single one of them bends dramatically towards the north at their base, stretching out across the ground a meter or so before they correct themselves and start growing skyward again, some to be over 50 feet tall. Theories suggest everything from a snowstorm that bends the young saplings to the intentional work of shipbuilders that wanted to farm curved planks. Others think it was the work of Nazi tanks crushing an abandoned timber farm on purpose during the war, but no one's certain. What makes it more interesting is this only affects this specific area. All the trees in the forest surrounding the 400 planted trees show no sign of being tampered with, including the trees just a few hundred feet away that are the same age. Many people have been trying to find an answer to this mystery, but since the town near the Crooked Forest was largely abandoned in the early stages of World War II, there's no one left who remembers why the trees were planted or what happened to them. The answer to the mystery of the Crooked Forest is likely lost forever. In August 1994, residents of the small town of Oakville, Washington, woke up to their city being covered in tiny translucent blobs. Overnight, a rainstorm had pelted 20 square miles or 32 kilometers with rice-sized gel pellets. It smeared on car windows, covered farmers' fields, and several people experienced flu-like symptoms. Scientists tested samples collected by residents, and while they did detect some trace bacteria, it wasn't the type that made people sick. The gel itself had no DNA, ruling out something plant or animal. Everyone was confused confused as to where it came from and what it was. Oakville is just one recent example of goop from the sky. It's a phenomenon recorded as far back as the 14th century. Often referred to as star jelly, this odorless substance resembles clear or white gelatinous clumps often found in open fields or hanging off tree branches. Its name comes from classic anecdotes about it appearing after meteor showers. While star jelly remains an enigma, scientists have ruled out that its source is extraterrestrial. Nothing so delicate could survive the pressure of entering the Earth's atmosphere, and many accounts of finding star jelly are confused with naturally occurring lookalikes like stumbling across a patch of unfertilized frog's eggs, slime molds, fungal growths, or, and we're sorry for this one, misfired deer semen. But those true discoveries of star jelly remain a mystery until someone wants to put the funding and effort into discovering more about it. Since the 1930s, residents of the small mountain town of Hesdalen, Norway, have been watching mysterious lights hovering around their valley, and no one knows what they are. They aren't distant orbs in the sky like a typical UFO sighting, and they aren't natural occurrences of light bursts in nature like bioluminescence or ignited methane. No. These strange lights have been appearing regularly, day and night, for nearly 100 years. Eyewitnesses compared them to the size of cars and watched them move in unpredictable patterns on the outskirts of town. Some float just above the tree line, others glide slowly down hillsides, some appear to hover in place for hours. The lights are silent, appear to be cool, and don't leave scorch marks on the ground, which rules out the most plausible cause, a rare type of eclectic phenomena called ball lightning. That doesn't mean they're safe to hug, because scientists have measured as much as 19 kilowatts in the floating lights. That's enough electricity to run a small household for a day. However, they have been known to sterilize the soil they make contact with, killing all microbes in the dirt and any small organisms nearby. While the paranormal certainly does come to mind, these lights probably have more to do with geology and energy retention than ghosts or little green men. One advantage of these floating lights happening regularly and in the same place is that scientists can dependably study them. Experts have a few theories. Since the 90s, it's been noted how unique the landscape in Hesdalen is. It's an isolated valley with a river running through it, surrounded by boulders. All the rocks are made of iron and zinc on one side of the river and rich in copper on the other. The river has a high concentration of sulfur, making it acidic enough to possibly become a giant natural battery. Depending on atmospheric conditions, these orbs could be excess electricity mixing with ionized dust in the air to create the balls of light. Alternate theories challenge the river battery hypothesis. Some experts believe the lights are radioactive, caused by excessive radon in the ground. Others think sulfur evaporating off the river is igniting when conditions are dry enough. Whatever the reason for the lights, it's possible that once the Hesdalen situation is understood, it could lead to an entire new way of storing energy. It's pretty exciting stuff for the woods outside a town of 100 people.